most wealthy person is a content person. You know what I mean? Like if you actually, like, I'm okay with what I got, you know, but there's nothing wrong with that guy. What pisses me off is a guy that's always complaining about their situation, but you don't want to help or help someone else get to where they want to get to. Yeah. You know?
That's the truth.
That's a disease in the workplace. Would you say that's a disease in the workplace?
Mm-hmm. It's a cancer. Because
that's the first thing the manager would say to the employee. Mm-hmm. Well, get something better.
Man, that's a disease in life. If you in Islam, that's one of the spiritual diseases, like having envy and arrogance. Like, it touches on all those things. You're supposed to check yourself constantly, but if you don't have, I'm telling you, I don't want to be the preachy guy, but all that stuff always goes back to Islam, because if you don't have the same way, like, you're a personal trainer, right? Mm-hmm. Some people, you know, they can't ever get to their physical goal without someone aiding them in it. It's the same thing in your spiritual life. You don't have an actual spiritual guide to walk you and remind you of certain things. You might know all the time. Like for me, I know damn well I should eat a certain amount of protein every day and I'll lose weight. But if nobody reminds me, I ain't doing it. Because I'm just not disciplined enough. And it's the same thing with your spiritual life. And all that goes back to the community. If we don't have any, if you got a community full of people that don't get therapy, they don't talk about their problems, so you're jacked up spiritually. You already
don't want to admit to that problem.
Yeah, you don't want to admit to it.
We have problems.
You seem like you're like, it's self-worth thing. Like, you feel like you lack if you admit to those problems, or if you're vulnerable to those problems and things like that. It's like that whole thing is, like you were saying, it's that voice in your head, and everybody got that voice. That voice like, are you stupid or something? But it takes you to really be aware of that voice and like I do that journey all the time. Every morning, you got to self-talk to yourself. Like, I got this, easy, whatever it is. But people don't know how to combat that. They just let that voice run crazy, and that's why.
You need someone to walk you through that. If you don't have a person to do it,
because that's the only person in the mirror who is standing in the way of anything that I want to do.
It's a fact.
And if you get past that, you can do anything.
It's easier to blame it on the other people, though.
Absolutely.
That's
a cop out.
It's way easier.
And I'm just speaking from experience in my life. I've came through some stuff, like, but me being disciplined and saying, all right, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm not going to let this get in my way. I'm not going to let this person get in my way or stop me from anything. Me keeping that in my head and being disciplined, I can do whatever I want.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
You do that, you can do anything. And going back to your point about, you move on, you grow, and some people fall behind. I had heard something yesterday. She was like, just because they look like you, don't mean they're your people. And I was like, damn. When I heard that, I was like, dang.
Yeah.
I was sitting there stunned for like 5 minutes. So I thought about it. I was like, yo, just because, they're supposed to be your people, some people just not. You got to move on, because if not, it's going to stop your progress and all the other people you can be helping. Yeah. So that's another thing within the community that needs to be, recognized. It's like, yo, I get we want to help everybody, but some people just can't go because it's the way it is. Some people stubborn, they ain't looking to change, they ain't looking to grow. You got to move on.
That was a lesson in Noah's Ark, right?
Yeah. To add to what you just was talking about, you got to have people that's not going to be afraid to check you, and you got to be able to accept it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like me personally, I'm not the guy that's going to pat you on the back and be like, everything's going to be all right. I'm the guy to be like, listen, you messed this up, and you got to pull yourself up out of it. A lot of times, I get that from my wife, that I'm like harsh and stuff like that. But it's a cold world out there, and the world they're not gonna tell you anything. You know what I'm saying?
That, you know why you like that? And your children isn't like that, because of the time frame you grew up. I know exactly what you're talking about. Right. But dudes would talk to you, and you nice. You would be more nice compared to how you was treated. Yeah.
It's
because you would get yoked up sometimes. And
that's real love, though. That's like, if you ain't care about
you do that now, they be gone.
Yeah, because it's like you can't even say much to anybody without getting all emotional. But to me, that's real love. It's like, yo, I care about you enough to say something, because I know your potential, or I know you about to mess up. But if I ain't care, I don't give a shit what you're doing.
And believe me, I done lost friends because of I came at them. They say I came at them because of the way I talk to them about their drug habits or how they drink. How you carrying yourself? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be like, say, you my man, right? You get in an argument with your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend. You put your hands on her. I'm gonna grab you up and be like, bro, you is tripping. I'm not gonna sit up here and take your side or step back and be like, that's their business. Nah, you my man, you tripping. Go, come on, come walk with me. You bugging. Don't put your hands on her like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you got guys that'll sit there and be like,
they're recorded.
Yeah, that ain't my stuff. That ain't my problem.
Yeah, it is your problem.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? What if he start dealing with your sister? Or something like that. Or somebody you close to. You know what I'm saying?
That's a touchy subject. And like you said, they'll record it.
Yeah,
they'll record it. Or they'll talk to somebody else about it.
First
They want to check them out. You can't be my man.
Like,
I check you. Like, if we gotta fight, then that's what we gotta do. Though. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's not coming from a place of I'm trying to point the finger at you and shame you or this, that, and the third. This is me being like, listen, I'm not gonna do it in public for the world to see. I've never been that type of person. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's touchy issues like that. Like if this is an example, me and you have that issue. I'm gonna wait till everybody leave. And then be like, listen, bro, like boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's business don't need to be out there, especially when it's something sensitive like that.
Yeah, everybody looking for the quick thing to put up though on social media.
Yeah,
and it's usually somebody else's business.
Oh.
You know what I mean? They don't want to air out their own. They don't want to be vulnerable. Everybody wants to say, oh, look at what he's doing. Look at what that person is doing. But you ain't squeaky clean either. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Put your stuff out there and let the world criticize you, and you're going to see how this person feels.
That's the problem. Like, that's one of the problems of the day is that, like, when you make a correction to somebody, they automatically think about all the stuff you did. So they, like, how can you say something to me when I know stuff that you did? We're not talking about what I did. We talking about what you did just now.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's wrong, man, for people to be like that.
No, it is wrong, but people don't care about right or wrong.
No.
Yeah.
Now
we addressing the issue that was brought to my attention.
But as long as you're the victim, then you can control the narrative. So I've gone through that. I fucking fight with women over that shit, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, but if you always a victim, then you can.
I can't respect that, man, because it's like, listen, what I did was at that moment. You can't come to this moment and use that. That was already dealt with. We talking about what you did right now. So don't try to bring up what I did or whatever I did. Mm-hmm. You did something wrong. It was wrong. And once it get corrected, then it's done and over with. It won't be brought back up again like that.
For me, I'm cool with it. If they want to bring up things that I did, I'm good with it. Because I can admit to my
No, I'm saying in that moment, what that person did, they can't get defensive and be like, well, what about this?
All the time.
Yeah, you like, it ain't about what I did. It's about what you just did.
That's a weak character trait, though. It's like,
that's common. That's a common a lot.
So everybody do.
Yeah, that's what you got, man. I'm so like, yo, you know, I'm wilding. But to me, it's like a weak, like you said, it's a cop out. It's like, yo, nah, but what about when you did this? It's like, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
I go through that all the time. Take for primary example, since we talk about social media, when females get up there, ain't no good men, this, that, and the third, da 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 da. All right. Why are you saying this? You got 5 kids with 5 different baby daddies. How many times are you going to make that mistake? You see what I'm saying? You can't say that there's no good men when you had 5 different opportunities.
You played the part in it. Just need to get on there. Like, you know what? I ain't no good.
Well, not even that. Don't come at the general public of men with this aggression because you made your mistakes. You dealt with the wrong man 5 times.
You know what's crazy though? But most people don't look like people mature. I was watching. Did you watch the new episode of LeBron bit my shit, right?
Oh, the barbershop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. LeBron bit us, right? Nah, that's cool. But he on the new joint that he got with Drake. Did y'all watch it?
I didn't even watch it.
Bro, it was good. Go ahead, I watched the whole joint. So there was a part on there when they was talking about his father, Drake. With Drake being a father, and they was talking about LeBron. And LeBron said, he said, yo, growing up, he said, I was hating my dad. Like, I didn't actually know what the issue was. He said, and now that I'm older, he said, I had to think and ask myself, like, I don't know what he was going through at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, people don't ever think about that. And it doesn't mean it is right. It's just people make bad decisions. You know what I mean? And if you don't ever look at somebody's situation in context and you're judging it wrong, everybody has a perspective on the situation, but you know, a person may grow, or they may have been going through something, or they might have changed their opinion. Like, you're not going to have the same, if you mature and you grow, you're not going to have the same opinions on things that you had 10 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So for someone, like when we did the conversation with all the brothers before, there was the one brother, he said, yo, I've been on both sides of the coin with parenting. He said, I've been absent and I've been present because I got older. I understand what I should be doing. And I didn't understand that I should have been doing that back in the day. To me, I think, you know, like once you get older and you look at it from, like, not just with parenting, but whatever you're into, you know, if you're more empathetic to a person's situation, if you know what actually happened.
Oh,
did happen, you know?
Like a lot of people
do you think that it's a responsibility for that parent once they reach that point to go back and explain that to them?
Yeah.
Because that is the part that is just obsolete.
Because I know,
you know what I'm saying?
I know somebody that actually did that. The father. And he apologized to us, and he said, listen, man, I was in a time frame where the drugs was having influence in the community. I got caught up in that drug era, using, and, you know, I'm sorry.
I'll show you this. For me, it was my mom. I wasn't raised with my mom, right? And when I got older, not that my mom was a deadbeat or nothing, but when I was a kid, I don't know, I'm special or something. So I always understood, like, if my grandma and my mom, they had a beef when I was a kid, and my dad. So if my grandparent, if my grandma and my dad ever talked about my mom, I never took it like and took no sides. I just, well, that's my mom, this is my dad. Like, I didn't, if he kicked her back in, no problem. If she did him, no problem. Like, that's your thing. But when I got older, my mom came back and she was like, well, I want to explain to you what happened. And I told my mom, I said, look, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly don't care. Like, you made a decision. If that was me, that's not the decision I would have made. But now that I'm older, I don't care no more. I got my own problems with my baby mom now. Like, so it's not that big of a deal. Some people, they hold on to that stuff. Like, you know, I'm thankful that I'm not the person that did this. I got a good relationship with my mom.
There's a lot of kids that hold on that. I've been witness to a situation where a dude, his dad got out of prison, right? And he, you know, he accepted his time and he started getting himself together. So he tried to put himself inside of the young man's life who I would work with. He was with me. And I just happened to be a witness to the conversation that they was exchanging between each other. And then I had a conversation with him afterwards. But his words was like, man, nigga, you gonna try to come to me and try to be dad now, motherfucker? Like, when I needed you, you wasn't ever there. Now because you got yourself right, you decided to come in, play the role of the father. So I ain't beef for that. That's exactly what he said. I ain't beef for that.
That's how it goes most of the time, though.
Yeah.
A lot of times like that.
I never got clarity on none of his.
But that's like selfish on the, I would say the kids part almost. It's like you said, you don't know what happened back then.
But that's hurt though. And that's
that is hurt. That's hurt.
When
you don't know how to do it.
When you the other person, you gotta be like I didn't hurt people feeling before.
But he got it out. He expressed it, and you know he vented afterwards with myself. But him and his father is good now. Yeah.
Because it's like you said, it hurt. He went through a bunch of stuff.
Most people don't even want to encounter that. Like their father or anybody, like, man, I don't want to talk to that dude.
No, and anything that happened, what was running through his head. And not only that, they're still judging him on what he did, you know, in the past.
But they don't ever want to address the issue.
Yeah,
like,
that too.
Just going up to him and saying something, him confronting the son, something like that.
It's a tough conversation to have, though.
Yeah.
I think my dad, he don't want to have that conversation because he know he got to come 100 with me because I can't accept nothing partial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never got that whole why you did what. I'm willing to sit down and tell me. But you're not going to hand me no bowl of BS and expect me to swallow. Neither. Let's not forget, I'm a grown man. I'm 40 years old, and I'm also a father. So you can't just hand me something you hand a 5-year-old and expect that to just be that. You know what I mean?
That's tough right there. But that's definitely a conversation. And if it doesn't happen, it's like, you know, it is what it is. As long as you ain't carrying no hate on you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
a lot of people got father issues in our community. From what I experienced, and like one time you was talking like you, CJ, you mentioned about like how as a young, it's still there psychologically, but the father not being there, and then it takes you to older to realize like, man, I really do got a problem with my dad because it's still it's getting acting out in other ways and other forms of people. And you like, dang, man. I often wonder sometimes with people like that, would that person be a different person if the father was there? Like, if that element of the father was there, would it still be a different type of individual? Because my father wasn't around. My mom raised me.
But it all depends on your influences. You know what I mean? So,
or the person, if he wants to see, he wants to see. I mean,
the best thing that happened to me was
true.
The brothers in the Dow Center. For real.
Yeah.
They show you like how to deal with stuff like that. And that's the older generation. So the older I know what you're saying, how they snatch you up and tell you like stuff like that, cursing you out and stuff.
And you look at it in hindsight like,
you like, man, these motherfuckers always yelling at me.
Yeah.
I'm tired of these dudes.
but once you get older and you get that wisdom, it's like, now it makes sense. Now I know why I did that.
Yeah, that's
You know
how
what
you
I
be.
mean?
You like, man, now I see. Yeah, you right when you said that. But at that moment, you like, man, I'm sick of these dudes.
Always got something to say. Always telling me this and telling me that. And it be